Hello producers, it's Ozgun here and welcome to the channel. So it's Q&A time. In this video, I'm gonna answer your questions that you ask from YouTube community tab. So SQRT237 asks, what is the process of releasing a song? Steps you have to go through, etc. By the way, love your content, it's awesome. Thanks brother, appreciate it for the nice words. So when you decided to release a song, I'm assuming you have a finished track, just get a radio mix without intro and outro and just get an extended version. Now this track is ready for the release. After that, there are two options. You can send this track to a label or you can just go with the self-release. The thing with self-release is very beneficial actually. For some cases, you will have full control on your release, but at the same time, you need to do tons of things like artwork, like promotion, that kind of stuff. If you decided to go with the self-release option, you just need to find a distribution company such as DistroKid, RootNote, TuneCore, there are CD Baby, there are tons of companies doing the distribution for you. I think in our music, Beatport is super important. Just find a distribution company that can distribute to the Beatport. For me, having a track in Beatport as your catalog, that looks good. That looks good on your artist career. But if you don't want to go self-release, you can always find labels. So big labels need some networking. So they will require like a very nice mixing, mastering, as an idea that stand out, but it's not enough, When you release with a big label, your music needs to what they are looking. Your style needs to merge with their style. So that's what the big labels are looking for. So if your music not fitting what they're looking in terms of style, in terms of vibe, even though the track is pretty well mixed, pretty well produced, it doesn't matter. They won't be signing that. So just keep that in mind. So self-releasing is not a bad idea, but yeah, don't forget that you will need to handle many different aspects, artwork, promotion and other stuff. You need to take care of yourself if you're gonna go with self-release. So Saltazar1237 asks, is Big Room House truly dead? So if you're talking about the Big Room 10 years ago, I think that style is pretty much dead. Even though Hardwell make a closing set in Tomorrowland, pure of old style Big Room, but mostly there's not much labels are signing that. I think Big Room is not dead, but it's evolved to something else, because I think it's pretty much impossible to make a unique Big Room track that doesn't sound like the other tracks. I think that's the same case with Big Room Techno too. Like all the Big Room Techno tracks starting to sound like same with each other, and that's a bad thing. If you can't be unique in some specific genre, that genre is probably gonna die or just evolve to something else. So Big Room evolved to something else. It's just merged with techno, trance, rave style music, several different genres. Now they are all combined. For example, a couple years ago, there was a Big Room section in the Beatport, right? Now they just changed the Big Room category in the Beatport as main stage. So which means old school Big Room, people don't listen that anymore. The labels doesn't sign it anymore. But a new form of Big Room merged with different genres are there. It's called main stage and that is still pretty famous. Drop the album Mike 8713 asking, is there any advice on how to make your sub stereo? So personally, I never do that because just think about it. When you buy a home theater, sound speaker system to your home, does it comes with one subwoofer or two? It's just one, right? Or when you just buy some, fancy speakers, it comes with two speakers and one subwoofer, or five speakers, one subwoofer. Or even if you want to do some investment and buy a big subwoofer to your studio, you usually just buy one, which means if your sub is stereo, it's always gonna merge into one and you will pretty much lose tons of information if you have a stereo sub bass. So benefits of having stereo sub bass, maybe it sounds good in earphones, but other than that, it's gonna sound very bad. So again, honestly, I don't have any experience on making my sub stereo. So if you can reply your comment by writing some reference artists that makes their sub stereo, I can just analyze them and then we can talk about it later. So Kayu Music asks, where does your inspiration for your songs come from, or does it come while you're producing? It's actually both, bro. Sometimes I'm just listening music, I do active listening, not just listening music in the background. I just open a track and I'm listening it, I'm analyzing it, and then sometimes I'm hearing some arpeggiato, or sometimes I'm hearing a really deep kick and bass combination, and I say, oh, I should make something similar with it, and I just open FL Studio and go with the flow. Or sometimes I'm just telling myself, okay, now I like to start making some music. What should I do? I'm opening Loop Cloud or Splice and just browsing some vocals, maybe some synths, some loop, something like that. And then I find a vocal sample. Okay, let's put this and maybe try some bass line behind this, or maybe just write a breakdown top of this vocal. And then it's all about getting into the flow state. When you are in the flow state, you can just finish tracks very fast. But sometimes I just produce a little bit and then I start to not feeling it. It doesn't flow anymore, and I just get rid of this project and probably never open it again. And sometimes I'm just deciding to make music. I open FL Studio and force myself to write some melody, even though it's gonna be very bad, even though I'm not gonna finish as a full track. I just write some melodies just for practice, and time to time, surprisingly, it transforms into full track. So Joe Fires asks, what have you learned over the past years from making music, and how did you discover that it works for the audience? So I think similar to most of the producers, I start with copying other artists. I was just trying to make a track very similar to some existed track already, and that was pretty much my learning years. In my first years, I was creative, but at the same time, I was so addicted to the numbers, like the perfect mixing, or I was thinking like I need to make a track exactly like this artist to, be famous, something like that. And that was one of the biggest misconceptions on my mind. So what I learned is there is no perfect mix exist. There is no perfect track exist. So in your brain, ideally, it always could be better. You don't need to be a perfectionist. You don't need to overthink and just release your stuff. And secondly, it's okay to get inspiration from other artists, but never copy their sound. Never try to be exactly sound like that, because they already sound like that. And if you do the exact same style, no one is gonna listen to your music. You need to be yourself. You need to be original. So just take the inspiration from them, but add your own taste, own sparkle to it, add your own sauce to it. And trust me, that's gonna work for the audience. There's always audience for your music, but it needs to sound like you, not anyone else. Music by Atras asking, what is your main source of income, or any suggestions for making money as a music producer, tips, tricks, etc. Thank you. So yes, my main income from music. My education was conservatory. I graduated from musicology, but I never do my own profession. It was on classical. It was on classical Western music. So after I graduated, I just start working in a music studio. I was learning how to record, how to mix. We were working with pop and rock artists mostly. I was using Cubase and Logic back then, and I just worked like 5 years in that studio, and I learned most of the basics of studio stuff. And after 5 years, when the COVID hit, I said, okay, I will just quit my job. I will just start posting content on YouTube, and I will just focus to be like an independent artist and live like that. So I think if you're not a DJ and not performing a lot, as a producer, you need to collect money from several different sources. So for me, it's a little bit on YouTube, some one-on-one mentorships, making sample packs for other companies. I also have a Udemy course in my native language, Turkish. I'm also earning a little bit money from there. I'm getting sponsored videos for my YouTube channel as advertising. Time to time, I'm making ghost productions, several things like that. But when you combine them all together, I'm earning enough money to live as an independent artist. I think if you want to live as a musician, you need to find some professions what you could do, like making sample packs or tutorials or like one-on-one mentorships or ghost productions. Just choose some of them and try to make money with them. You just need to do a brainstorming about it and focus on getting some passive incomes, they are lifesavers. So Deep in Motion asks, how do I get the festivals or clubs to know me, because I don't know where to start? Honestly, it's all about networking. So I'm from Ankara, Turkey, and until the COVID, I almost performed all the major clubs in there because there was a close techno and EDM community and everyone was knowing each other. So because of that network, I could perform in a lot of venues, even some little local festivals. But for example, now I moved to Istanbul. I don't know anyone in here. I have no networking in Istanbul. So that's probably pretty hard me to find a venue to perform. So I think if you want to perform, maybe you can start uploading mixes to SoundCloud, even with just videos. Try to promote yourself as a brand. Then maybe you should consider to work with a management agency so they can do the networking for you. But other than that, without knowing the people, it's pretty hard to perform in clubs, especially in the festivals. So Vayan asks, how to get signed on main big label? You also got signed to Revealed Recordings. Is there a way to tips and tricks? So bro, for the big labels, it's all about making good music. So if you want to sign with your dream label, you need to finish tracks that stand out in terms of idea, production, production quality, mixing, mastering, everything needs to be very decent. And also the style of your music needs to fit what they are looking for. So you can just aim your favorite dream label and then see their releases for like 3 months and then observe the style of the tracks, what they released for last three months, let's say, and try to make a track, not copy, just try to make a track in that style, but also put your own taste. If you can do that, everyone can sign to their dream label. It's all about making a proper track that the label want to sign. Also, you ask what is the best way to send to demo label. So for example, Revealed Recordings has their own demo portal in their website. You can just use it. And if you are sending to an A&R directly, so be very direct on your email. You know, you can say, hi, this is me, I'm from here, this is my track, it's style of this, and just put a Dropbox link or SoundCloud link with download enabled, and just ask, what do you think about this track? I like to release it with you. If you also like it too, cheers, best regards, that's all. Very brief, very short and straightforward email. That's very important not to take their time. So Synth TV1 asks, where would a new producer release a song? We kind of talk about this. You can go with a self-release or you can send directly to a label, but don't be so excited on it if you are just started producing. Maybe your music is not ready for a label release, maybe not even for a release. I suggest you to get feedbacks from other artists that has releases already so they can tell you are ready or not. And if you have a good product, if your music is good enough, you can release it on the labels or even the self-release. It's totally up to you. So Go Wild asks, what is your secret sauce? Something you can share from Ozgun Sound. You know, honestly, I don't have much secret sauce because I'm showing whatever I'm doing on the tutorials, like the start to finish series. So my secret sauce maybe will be the digital summing. I mentioned this on many tutorials. I'm using a plugin called Bristol Channel, and when I finish my track, I'm just getting stem renders. This is super important because you can't see the details, the waveforms in just the project itself. It's always good to print, you know, have stem renders as wave files without the mastering and put them in a separate project and finalize your mixing there. And also I'm just putting this Bristol plugin to every channel and I'm just rendering my channels through that plugin. It's adding the channels some analog taste, you know, that flavor, which I really enjoy. That's why I can get big loudness with a warm sound. And yeah, I think the biggest game changer thing, just render your track as stems and mix them, finalize them and master them in a separate project. Also Go Wild as, do you have any useful ear candy tips? So I had several tutorials on them. Just search YouTube as Ozgun Ear Candy. You'll find some good content. Atsis Music asks, can you please send a download link for your spam preset? I'm putting the screenshot in here, right? So you can just create it by your own. The best SG7 or asks, do you think I should follow the trending music to get following or just make the music I want, even though is outdated progressive big room? So if you want to have a big fan base, obviously you need to follow the trends and make music similar to the people listen, you know. If you want the outdated music and you won't get much people following, so just ask this question yourself. Do you want more followers? You need to follow the trends, but it doesn't mean that you cannot add your own sauce. You can still add this outdated stuff to the trendy music you like and you can just merge them. It's all about creativity. But if progressive old school big room makes you happy and you don't care about getting followers, just go with the music you like. That's totally okay too. So Sample asks, which track was your biggest breakthrough in the industry? So that's a tough question. So I think I have a couple answers. One of them would be my collaboration with Ollie James. Back then my channel wasn't this big and Ollie James was a super famous producer, and when we collaborate in a track together, I got so much benefit with it. So maybe I can say Hooked. And other than that, The Underground is released on Ollie James label Rave Room Recordings. It plays on tons of big festivals, 2-time Tomorrowland main stage. That was my biggest achievements on, you know, supporting in a big festival. So I can consider that also as a breakthrough. Holy Dips asks, do you experience moments of feeling uninspired? And if so, how do you overcome them? Yes, it's happening a lot of times. And when I feel uninspired, I just play video games. I know it's pretty hard. I feel guilty, but I just do some other stuff that makes me happy. You know, I'm collecting Pokemon cards. I'm playing video games. I'm hanging with my family, just watching TV series, just watching movies. Eventually in time, I just get back in the track and I'm waiting to feel like this euphoria a feeling when I think about producing music and I'm saying, okay, now it's time to get back to the producing. So yeah, this is life. We are all human. It's all up and downs. That's totally normal. I think we shouldn't push ourselves when we feel uninspired. Just do the stuff you enjoy and eventually your inspiration is gonna come back. And last question from Go Wild again. How is the new life as a dad and how is your son? So brother, thanks for asking. My son is good. He's almost 2 months old. So my whole life has changed. So before my child born, I had all the time. I could produce, I could do whatever I want in the life. But now, because he's so little and so new to life, he needs care 7 days, 24 hours, all the time. So for the last 2 months, I'm pretty much not produced. So maybe a couple hours in a week. I'm just trying to find time to shoot these videos and I'm just running back to him to take care of him, help my wife. Pretty rushed, pretty tiring. It's the best feeling ever. And it's awesome to experience him and watch him grow. You know, I can't describe it with words. I can say that life is perfect. So that was all of the questions, guys. If you have more, you can write in the comment section. I will just reply all of them with typing. So today that was it. See you on the next video. Peace. Bye bye.